All right. All right, here we go.
This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Cabo Jim Schaller.
Welcome, good neighbors, to episode number 108 to the Good Neighbor Podcast Estero. Today we have good neighbor Carlos Gilkey from Christopher Allen Homes. Welcome.
Well, thank you, Jim. I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's always nice to get to know people here in the community and let them share what they do. So why don't we jump right in? Why don't you share a little bit about what you do over at Christopher Allen Homes?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am the director of sales and marketing. So I facilitate and manage our sales and marketing team along with our closing coordinator. So we are a new builder. We do new construction in Lee County, Charlotte County, Sarasota County, and have just started builds in Babcock Branch as we expand our company. So I oversee all the sales team and the process behind the product to ensure that we get a good quality home to our end user buyers.
Very nice. So I guess I have to ask, how did you get involved in this industry?
Well, that's actually a very unique and funny story. I actually relocated to West Florida about 9 years ago. I was working as a correctional officer in Los Angeles, and my fiance at the time was in Southwest Florida. So decided to make the jump and quit working for the government and came out here with no job. And I was offered an opportunity to start part-time with a local builder as a assistant. So I took that role. And it was about 3 weeks into that role, I had met the owner of the company. He decided he wanted to fast track me. So he put me into the sales role, and I accelerated from there. And from that point, I was recruited to Christopher Allen Homes about 5 years ago.
Wow. And that's just like all of Southwest Florida. I'm sure you guys are growing tremendously.
Yes, sir. So I've been on since 2018 in July. From that point is when the business really started to pick up. So the first 3 years with the business, our sales doubled and closings doubled each year. And obviously, since then, the market's kind of adjusted a little, but we've maintained and continued to grow, just not at the rapid pace of the first 3 years. So it's been exciting to be along this journey with this company.
Absolutely. Growth is always exciting. So we've all had maybe some type of, I would say, hardship or challenge along our journey. Is there something that happened along your journey that we can look back at now and say, you know what, I'm in a better place because of it?
So actually, the timing of this is kind of ironic, coming up on a 6-year anniversary on a personal level. So about 6 years ago, I had some pain in my back that progressed.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, yeah. So the timing of this question is actually quite timely. About 6 years ago, I started having some back pain and progressed worse over the months. And I ended up at a neurosurgeon on a Friday afternoon going for a second MRI. So he did it with contrast. Came out of that MRI and he just looked at me and said, "You've got a growth in your spinal cord. You will be my first surgery next Thursday." There was no options, no opportunity. It was, you are going to be. So I went into surgery that following Thursday morning, which was March 22nd of 2018. Came out of there. They removed a tumor that was inside my spinal cord about the size of a sausage link. And they said if it had been a 1/4 inch higher or lower, I would have been paralyzed.
Wow. That's crazy.
Right. So it was a very challenging time. I had a 3-year-old at that point, so I couldn't pick him up. I had to go through radiation for 5 weeks, and it's been 6 years. I'm clean, free of that. It's changed my perspective on how I approach situations, how I look at people who are in pain, and I can empathize with them a whole lot more now that I've been through that.
Right, exactly. Well, congrats on getting through that, and then glad you're in a better place now. That's what's important. So are there any maybe myths or misconceptions around the industry that maybe we could clear up for our listeners regarding, Christopher Allen Homes?
Yeah, that's actually a really good question, especially in today's market. I think one of the biggest misconceptions and myths is the dropping of interest rates And the way I like to look at that is if we can correlate it with oil prices. You see the price of oil skyrockets and it drops, but you don't see that instant change at the gas pump. That is slow to come down, and people see that the announcement interest rates are going to drop, and they think that it's overnight we're going to see that drop, but it's a progression. Unfortunately, they don't come down as fast as they go up. The banks hold on to those profits, which every buyer thinks I can get that interest rate drop today.
All right. It doesn't happen that way.
Sure.
Not at
Nice
all.
if it did.
So you guys are you more custom homes, or do you have standard homes that you're building, or?
So we're what we call a production builder. So
Okay.
we have our own floor plan designs. We have our own design packages. We don't deviate from them.
Okay.
What we do is we build spec. So essentially, someone's buying a completed product at time of purchase. We generally release homes to sell once the slab and block is up. And we run about 150 days on construction, which is a pretty quick turn time in today's market.
Interesting. So are you seeing any trends in the industry as far as, designs or new features?
We're seeing a little transition. Gray's been very in for the past couple of years, very heavy, and we're seeing it go back a little more to the earth tones. That's kind of what's the trend, and we try to stay ahead of that. But obviously, you never know what's coming next.
Absolutely. It's like fashion. It changes every day. So you mentioned Babcock Ranch. That's going to
Yes.
be an up and coming area for you guys.
Yes, sir.
It's a lot of growth out there. You got other hot spots here in Southwest Florida?
Yeah, I mean, Lee County is a big hot spot for us, but Babcock Ranch is kind of the target on the map, if you will. After Hurricane Ian, they had that interview on 60 Minutes that really made them flash. They're the top 5 master community in the nation. So there's a lot of visibility here, and we have a
Yep.
lot of opportunity potential with the product that we put out here that kind of separates us from the others.
Absolutely. That's important down here in Southwest Florida. So outside of work, I know your job's very demanding and you probably don't have a lot of free time, but
Right.
we live in Southwest Florida. What do you enjoy doing outside of work?
Well, like most people, I enjoy eating. I like some good uh, authentic street tacos. I also like to golf when I get the opportunity. That's a little time consuming, but we're in Florida, so you got to get some of that in every once in a while. And
Absolutely.
I like spending time with the family. My son is into soccer. He's 8, so he's starting to find his own lane of what he likes to do athletically. So getting to watch him be competitive is something I actually really enjoy on my own time.
Absolutely. I love that. So you mentioned you came from LA. Were you raised out on the West Coast?
I was actually raised all over the country. Every 2 to 3 years, we moved around. LA has just happened to be where I was planted last.
Nice, nice. So how does LA compare to the East Coast of the United States?
Well, a lot of people ask me where my favorite place to live was.
Mm,
Um, and I say it's not about the place, it's about the people. Um,
right.
you can live in the hardest of places, but if you're surrounded by the right community of people, it doesn't matter. And just the opposite, you can live in the nicest of places and you're just miserable because you don't have your community. But backing into your question, they're completely different. The way that people carry themselves, they interact, is completely different. It's a lot more friendly, if you will, here.
Yep.
But you also have a lot more food options on the other coast. So I did it like that, where you see food trucks are starting to be a thing here. They've been a thing there forever, and there's just a
Right.
variety.
I grew up in the Midwest, so I was used to having Chicago close by, and you talk,
Mhm.
I miss my good pizza up there, and a good steak, but the weather you can't beat it down here, so
All
that's
right.
that's why we love it. So is there one thing maybe that our listeners, or you wish maybe our listeners knew about Christopher Allen Homes that maybe they don't know?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, those that don't know us, that we're a locally owned builder. Our owner is actually here locally, so he is heavily involved in the business, and he prides himself on us delivering a quality product. So that is something that sets us apart from a lot of the builders, where we don't just close a home and forget about a buyer, but we actually want to make sure that that buyer is happy in their home, because we understand that that means they're going to talk to their friends and family about us in a good and positive posture.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. So how would our listeners go about getting a hold of you if they were interested in learning more?
Yeah, easiest way would be go to our website, which would be ChristopherAllenHomes.com. That's Allen, ALAN, or to our phone tree, which would be 800 my CAH.
Love it. Love it. Hey, Carlos, appreciate you being on. Any last words for our listeners?
We look forward to hearing from you and sharing about Christopher Allen Homes and get you in a new home.
Well, thank you. Thank you for being such a good neighbor and what you do here in the community and making it better. And we'll see you out there soon.
All right. I appreciate it, Jim.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast Estero. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnpestero.com. That's gnpestero.com or call 239-296-2621.